Hey everybody, welcome back. So we're gonna go over week three's algorithm, I believe, and it will be in module 5. So the first one is a very famous one. It's called the Fizzbuzz algorithm. We're gonna open our JavaScript. Cool. So we're all set up and my coding environment is ready to go. So let's get started with the Fizzbuzz activity. So what we want is we want to achieve the following, where we iterate through each number in the given array, and if the number is evenly divisible by 3, write fizz in the console. If it's evenly divisible by 5, write buzz in the console. Otherwise, write fizz buzz if they're divisible by both 3 and 5. And this is an example of it. So given an array, we're going to iterate through it. So for var I equals 0, while I is less than array.length, and I plus plus, got that going. And now we are going to, so the way we want to approach this is, we want to use conditionals, and we want to check the most broad conditional first, which is going to be where it's divisible by both 3 and 5. And this and will help us out in determining how to write it. So if, so in order to find out if something is divisible by something, we can use a modulo. So given the value of array I modulo 3, if it returns a 0, and, then it's not an and if array I modulo 5 equals 0, then we should return console.log. Oh, not return. And we'll console.log fizzbuzz, right? Yeah. And let's just try and run that. And we get fizzbuzz for one instance. Otherwise, the last one, else print the number, else print the number. So else else console.log array at I. What? Oh, okay, my bad. So we need to move this up like that. I'll do that. Cool. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and fizzbuzz. So 15 is the only one divisible by both 5 and 3. So let's go ahead and do the second one. Else if array at I modulo 3 equals 0, console.log for 3 we have fizz, else if array I modulo 5 equals 0, we want to console.log buzz, else we will just console log that. So let's just do that, get nice syntax, and we passed our test case. In terms of the conditional, there's not much, there's no like other real way to do this. You could just change the syntax up a bit. For instance, let me format this. We can comment all this out. If we really wanted to, we could okay, so another way we could really do this is, there's not very much that we can really do. The conditions are there, we can't really set them to variables. It's just syntax wise, we could just, instead of a for loop, we do something called a for each, array.forEach. I don't like it when it does that. For each element, we want to go ahead and do an if. We can also just change up the syntax of this, a number that is integer of element over 3, and number that is integer of element over 5, and console.log fizzbuzz, else if and then we can just copy this. So this should return true, false. Then console.log. So 3 was fizz. Else if copy, I think we already have it copied, so we just change that to 5. And then console.log buzz. Else console.log element. Looking at that, if we refresh it, this is another solution we could really do. Not found favicon, that's fine. It's exactly the same as this, it's just using different syntax, different calls, but essentially the solution is the same. So let's move on to the next algorithm. Okay, so for the next algorithm, we have to return the largest number in the given array. For example, given the array this, the following should return 17. Again, another algorithm that there are a lot of different ways to do this. So I'm going to look up one thing, max value array method, math.max. We can essentially do something like this. So we want to just, it's going to check all the values and return that. So this is one solution. I wouldn't have done this personally, but let's just go through it. So we need to return the math.max of the function of the array. So that should, not a number. They did math.max of array 1. Since it's already an array, we don't need to do that. It's not going to return anything. So of just the array. And that should be fine. Maxnum is not defined. Let's console log that. Console.log. Oh. I know what I did wrong. Okay. So that's one way to do it. I wouldn't have personally done it this way. I would have done it in a way that's a little bit more understandable. So returning the max of the array here. And if we just console.log array, we get, forgot another dot. We get all the values in the array. So just returning the max of all the values in the array will return our highest value. That is one very, very quick solution. The other solution that I would have done just to really work through the problem is there's a couple ways to do this. So we'll do we'll define a sorted array. So we'll do array.sort. So because these are numbers, if for instance, if I just do an array.sort and I console.log array, we can see that it's not really sorted. And if I got rid of this, you'll see that this is the original order of the array. And this is the array that we supposedly had sorted. So with numbers, once you get into double and triple digits, it gets a little wonky. So you want to go ahead and pass a value of parameters of a and b in your sort with the arrow function of a minus b. Now it's properly sorted, and we know that the last value of the array will always be the max. So we'll do array.length minus 1. That's 5,000, and then we can just do a return statement on that, and we got the solution. So this is another way to do it. This is I think better for learning to understand that how the sort method works in JavaScript. You can just use the spread operator to spread out the array and just return the max value. Both are valid solutions. This is a one-liner. This is a two-liner. You can make it a one-liner if you really want. You could do array.sort of a, b, arrow a minus b dot, and then you just have to return that value. So this is another way you could do it. You could just get rid of this, and basically you're sorting the value of the array, and you're returning the last element. If you wanna kind of be weird, you could do this. You could reverse it and return the first element if you want. Again, lots of different ways to do it. There's no need to do this. This is fine in my opinion. Whoops. Yeah, this is fine in my opinion, and this other return statement is fine. Both are one-liner, but again, a very simple function to go through. There is a final way to do it, and I will just go through that quickly. So var I equals 0, where I is less than array.length, I plus plus, and we're just going to assign the value var max equal the initial value of the first value of the array. So we're gonna assume that the first value is the highest value, and then we can do if max is less than array at I, then max equals array at I, and then we can go ahead and return max. Again, another completely valid solution. If we go ahead and console.log max, here we can see that initially is 2, then 3 for 2 iterations, and then it's 99, 100, and then 5,000 for the last 2 iterations. This one goes through and checks each one. This one we sort and just return the last one. And this one is similar to what we're doing here, math.max, but this is the actual programming behind it. So 3 solutions for a simple algorithm. So let's move on to the next. Okay, so for the final algorithm, we have something a little bit more complicated. So we need to return the amount of vowels in the string. We know vowels as A, E, I, O, U. And we just need to return how many exist. So if we look here, the number 3 should be returned in programmer, the number 8 should be returned in all of this, and the number 0 should be returned here. Lots of different ways we can do this. I'm just going to go through not necessarily the simplest, but probably the easiest to understand. So let's get started with that. So we're just going to iterate through this. Let's split the string up. So for the string, we're going to do var, we're going to call it variable processed string equals string dot replace all empty space with that dot split. Okay, so we've created an array of the string, and we're going to assign this value to this right here. Okay, so one thing that's happening is we need to deal with edge cases. So one edge case we have is if the string is empty. So let's just deal with that right now. So we have the process string. So if process string dot length is less than 1, then return 0. We're done with one test case. Now the next test case we want to do is actually trying to solve the problem. So we're going to iterate through this. So var I equals 0, where I is less than process string dot length I plus plus, and this is a conditional. So if process string at I equals A, and then we're going to do this a couple times, or A, E, I, O, U, so we need to do it 5 times. A, E, I, O, U. So E, I, O, that's 0, O, U. I do see an issue here, and maybe it'll come up, maybe it won't. It definitely will, and we will account for that too. So we are going to go ahead and just have a vowel count method variable. Set that equal to 0. Var equal that, and you know what? We'll put that up here. We have our process string. We have that, and then we want to return vowel count. That should still pass. And now I'm gonna go ahead and put process string down here as a console log. Console.log. Cool, just so we can keep an eye on this. And now we need to just increment vowel count ++, and then we can return vowel count. Now we have the first one and the third test case passing because of the issue I saw in the first in our processing. So we have to take into account another edge case where vowels can be uppercase. So to do that, there are two ways to do this. There's one very easy way and then one very tedious way. So we can do if process string equals a, or a lowercase a, or uppercase a. So the other really easy way to do this is string.replace all with that dot to lowercase, and we can do that, and that should fix all our problems. So this is one solution that we can come up with, where we first process the string by replacing all open spaces with empty spaces. So there are no more spaces. We set them all to lowercase and we split it in an array. I'm pretty sure you don't need to split it and it will still go on. Yep, because you can iterate through strings like arrays. Okay, so let's do this. There are a lot of different ways to do this. Let's do one with a regex function. So regex is a way to filter out items in filter out strings for certain things. So let me think. Yep, I think that was it. So we need to do replace match all of this. So the problem was we weren't really returning what we wanted in terms of our values. So we need a, e, I, o, u. So we're gonna string that replace all, not replace all, but I think we don't need to replace all. It should still return the same value, 6 and 3. Yep, but we do need 2 lowercase. Yeah, so this is the way you would actually do it. Or if you don't want to do that at all, if you don't want to convert the string, you could just be more specific with your regex function. Now you're returning that, and now all you have to do is just return x.length. And you still need a test case for that. So if x.length is less than 1, return 0, else return that. That's another way you could do it. Console, I'm saving it, it's not. No. So if x if no x, yeah, so x doesn't exist because no value was returned. So if no x exists, return 0, else return that. So you can instead do if x, you could return that. Otherwise you return this. That just looks cleaner in my opinion. So you return the length or you return that. That's a second solution you have where you just do a regex. You could also, no, you need that. So you need to set it to a value. To make it a one-liner, you can do, no, because you have to take into account the length of 0. So yeah, so that's the way you would do it. There is a third way. Once again, there are a lot of different roundabout ways to go about doing this. You could just do the same kind of pre-processing that we did here. You could do there process all, where we replace all of that, and then we do process string dot, and then we're gonna split it. Actually, dot split, and we're gonna do process string dot for each. I'm gonna write it element index, and we're gonna get a count. So this is a very cool little function I like to do from time, set of code I like to do from time to time. That is super helpful. So count at element equals either count at element or 0 plus 1, and if we return console.log process string, we get count. We get something like that, where equals 0 or, oh, forgot to close this out. There you go. That's the way we're supposed to do it. And now we're returned all the values of that. So we can also do if element dot equals, I think we can do this. Let's give this a try. Did we lowercase it? We did AEIOU. Okay. If it exists, so if element equals that. So we're just trying to see if element matches, then we'll return that. And we'll console log count. And now we've returned that, and now we need to get all those values. So we will do for var I in count console.log I. We're given that. Okay, so we can do console.log I count. Count I. And then we're given numbers, so now we can do let var result equals 0. We can just do result plus equals count. Get rid of that, and now return result. And if we look, we should pass all the test cases. So again, another roundabout way, but uses a lot of different things in JavaScript that is cool to know. So this will return all the vowels as an object, and then we iterate through that object and we add the values of the actually value of the key. So we're checking count at the key I, and then we're adding that value here. Then we return the result. So this is, again, not the most efficient way to do things. You're doing a lot of different things to do something very simple, but it's a good way to really try different things in JavaScript and just give you more tools and ways to solve different problems. So I hope these algorithms were helpful to you. There are 3 different solutions here. Pick your poison. I like going through this way because it really lets me look at things differently, as well as the first way. The second way is very efficient. where you just match the value and then you return the length. But yeah, thank you so much for watching.